Mascagro, welcome. Assalamu alaikum. مساء الخير, صباح الخير. I, Dimah Mahmoud. My name is Dimah Mahmoud. I am Mahasi Nubian from a village called Kibaja in northern Sudan. And my sister's dog is getting really excited in the background. It is extremely hot here, which is rather fitting because I feel the presence of Nubia. Please take a moment, share this video, tell a friend to tag a friend to come through, and take a moment to tell us where you're coming in from. Welcome. مساء النور, أهلا وسهلا. Hello, Nubia, welcome. How fitting. I hope you are here to, I don't know if you had a chance to read the description. يا أخ عبد الله, الدعوة في النص الثاني من الفقرة دي إن شاء الله بنفتح المكان إذا الوقت بيسمح. خلصنا الحاجات اللي حنعملها ونتكلم فيها, لكن أنا حكون بحول بين اللغة الإنجليزية واللغة العربية, ودايرة أتكلم عن أهمية توثيق رحلتنا مع النوبة. توثيق ما بس التاريخ, ما بس التراث, لأنه إحنا تاريخنا قاعدين نعمله كل يوم. التاريخ النوبي قاعد بيتخلق كل يوم. النوبيين الموجودين خصوصاً الشابات والشباب اللي قاعدين بيحاولوا يحيوا التراث بأي طريقة, بمهرجانات, بتطبيقات على الموبايل, باحتفالات زي الاحتفال ده, بدروس, بأغاني, بأفلام. ودايرين نتكلم الكلام ده يعني شنو. I'll just quickly make a translation. This session is about being present in the presence of Nubia and what that means. And it is stemming from my personal journey, my personal experience with Nubia. For those of you who don't know and haven't heard me talk about this before, I co-founded the Nubia Initiative with my sister, Dimah Mahmoud. And it was out of urgency and desperation to protect, preserve, and promote our heritage. And upon starting, the main concern was to secure the past, was to make sure the legacies of our ancestors are not lost, or any more of them, let's say, are not lost. And so my focus was fully focusing on the past of Nubia. I went about it kind of like and I'm speaking about myself because my sister was very, very present. Shout out to Delia. She's able to, if she's listening or tuning in. I went about it like a business. I got myself a folder for the Nubia Initiative. I made a plan. I recorded all the things I wanted to learn about Nubian history. And then I realized I am forgetting the present. I am not present for the present. I'm not enjoying the present. I'm not celebrating the Nubians of today. It's very important to know and recognize and acknowledge the Nubians of the past, our ancestors. But Nubian history, like Black history, like any history, like human history, is in the making. We have so many young Nubians today who are doing amazing work, and we don't stop to celebrate them. We don't stop to recognize them. We pin them to the side, like what they have done is not as important, is not valuable, or will not have that value the same way our ancestors' work has. And the truth is, we don't know what the value of their work will be, because it'll be much, much further down the line. So this is an invitation, and I will be switching between Arabic and English, because until we have enough funds to have a live interpreter here, it is very, very important that we include and we presence all who love Nubia. And for me personally, it is really important for the Nubians on mainland Nubia, in Sudan and in Egypt, to hear and see and understand what we are doing here. So depending on the comments, if I'm seeing them in Arabic, then I'll be switching to Arabic. And if I'm seeing them in English, then I'll be switching to English, and I'll try my best to balance both. So now I'm seeing the comments are mostly in Arabic, so I'm just going to respond. Please take a moment, tell us where you're tuning in from. أهلا وسهلا متواصلين وأهلا بك يا أخ عبد الله شكرا لك. داير أحكي بس شوية على أهمية الاحتفال بالشباب النوبيين. والشباب هنا أنا ما قصدي الشباب أو الشابات، أنا بتكلم بصفة عامة عن الجيل النوبي الجديد. بيعملوا في شنو؟ ومجهوداتهم في إحياء التراث النوبي. ودائما بقول إنه في جزء من النوبة في كل مكان بنروحه، في كل مكان بمشي فيه بلاقي جزء من النوبة. والموضوع ده ما لاحظته لغاية ما بدأت رحلتي مع مبادرة النوبة عشان أفهم تاريخي وأفهم تراثي وأتعلم لغتي. لكن بعد فترة لقيت إنه كل ورق شجرة عيلة، كلمات نوبية، رسمات، كله ورق ورق ورق. وزي تراثنا اللي قاعدين بنحاول نحييه، الورق ده كمان ممكن يضيع في أي لحظة. ففكرت في الفكرة في تعزيز الحاضر في النوبة، تعزيز المجهودات هسه في النوبة. والفقرة دي دعوة أنكم تعملوا نفس الحاجة معايا. نجيب كراسة، صندوق، ورق، أي حاجة، ونبتدي نسجل ونحط الحاجات اللي بتجينا، المعلومات، القصص، الروايات الجاية من النوبة، الجاية من البلد، سواء من أهلنا الكبار أو من الأكاديميين اللي بيدرسوا في اللغة النوبية أو في التراث النوبي، أو من الحاجات اللي إحنا قاعدين نقراها، أو حتى لو إحنا ماشيين في الشارع وشفنا حاجة ذكرتنا بالنوبة. يعني دي علامة لتعلم الكتاب. الصفحة دي من المكسيك، أنا كنت في المكسيك وشفتها وما عارفة ليه، لكن ذكرتني بالنوبة فشلتها. وهسه عندي زي صندوق، لأنه ما كل الناس بتكتب، لكن الحاجات اللي بنجمعها دي زي ما وريتكم عاملة صندوق النوبة وحنملاه. And I'm going to switch حول الإنجليش here. I had no idea where to start. My sister and I had this vision to protect, preserve, and promote Nubian heritage, to leverage arts, academia, and technology, to call on our networks, to call on our families, to call on our friends, to call on the academics we know have dedicated their lives to the preservation of Nubian heritage. So what then is left is to start, and we started. But again, I started it from a business perspective. Not that the Nubia Initiative was a business, but we've internalized how things are done in this, transactional world that we live in. That, I needed a plan, because if I'm going to approach universities and I'm going to approach academics and I'm going to approach institutions to help fund all the projects we want to do to celebrate and preserve Nubian heritage, then they're going to want to see a business plan. They're going to want to see what my financial plan, what the budget is, who my network is. And that was the focus. And I lost touch of being present. I forgot to be present. I did not appreciate the gift that is the present and the presence of Nubia. And so this session is an invitation for us to start recording that, to start asking ourselves the questions we want to know about Nubia, to start recording the information that we do know about Nubia. Do you remember, and if you do, please, this is an interactive session, so please put in the comments the response. Do you remember the first time you heard the word Nubia? The first time you heard someone speak about Nubia or Nubian heritage or Nubian queens or kings? If you do, please put in the comments. And if you remember who it was that brought that to your attention, presence them, tag them, let them know that you're still on your journey with Nubia. They may not have even known that they're starting you on that journey. For me, although I am Nubian and I grew up hearing the Nubian language, I don't speak it. The person that properly started and actually started my journey with Nubia, and I say this a lot and I present him again and again and again, and I'm so very grateful for him, is Professor Herman Bell. And it was a scolding. It was a scolding because how dare I not know the Nubian language? And although everything on the wall that day that we met, because he was giving a lecture on Paradise Lost at the University of Exeter at the Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies, where I was pursuing my master's at the time and later pursued my PhD. Everything on the walls was past, was ancient Nubia, was language, a language that I don't recognize, a language that is endangered, a language that he felt so powerfully connected to, that this mix of rage and heartbreak in his eyes when he learned that I don't speak the language came out. And my first question on my journey was, why is this man so angry? Why was he so heartbroken? Why was he so enraged? Why is this man from Virginia living in Oxford so worried about whether or not I speak this language? That was my first question. And then I started asking more questions because I went home and I mean in the dorms at the time at the University of Exeter. And I kept looking, I searched, I asked question, what is Nubian heritage, Nubian languages? What are Nubian languages? And with every question, there was a bit of Nubia that was revealing herself to me, but was also such a feeling of loss of all I could have known earlier, but I didn't. And so then my question became, why do I not know this? Why was this not told to me? Why was this not taught to me? And Baba, if you're listening, I'm sure you will remember this conversation, because I called my father and I was so upset that he too contributed to my being robbed from my heritage. Unintentionally, of course, because, you know, this world, this system throws and puts everything to overwhelm us, to disconnect us from our roots, to disconnect us from each other, from one another. And so I'm left asking more and more and more questions. So I started recording these questions. I started, any answer I get or link to an answer I get, I would save it. And I lost track of all the things that I was putting. You know, I'll write something in one note because I'll be in a cafe and someone will say something in Nubia about Nubia. And so, you know, I'll pull a piece of paper or a notebook that I'm working on and I'll doodle and I'll scribble and I'll write, okay, you know, this on this date with Nubia. Or I learned this today. I learned this queen did that. I learned that actually Nubia is not a footnote to ancient Egypt. I learned that, you know, all these little things that you find out and you're just like, wow, what? Really? But really? And then I went to Luxor for the first time in 2018. And, you know, I went to some of the temples, which is a whole other journey. And I kept these tags from these trips of my first visit back. And I came back and I was like, okay, I'm going to find a place to put them in. And I didn't, and I put it to the side. And I got distracted with everything else. I got distracted with the deliberate attempts at our erasure as a people, the deliberate efforts to erase our heritage, erase our language, to fight us for even claiming our languages. Hola, Maggie from Puerto Rico. Thank you for joining. What is Nubia? Oh, Maggie, where do I start? Nubia is my home. She is where I am from. She is where my ancestors hail from, where they are buried, where they have left their legacy. It is the cradle of civilization. And she no longer exists officially on any maps today. And that is part of the attempts that I am speaking of our erasure, is that Nubia and our heritage is actively being co-opted into modern borders that have nothing to do with our heritage. Modern borders that came well after Nubia. But today, most of the Nubian population, I'll say, are in northern Sudan and what is called Upper Egypt, but on the map it's in, the way the map is structured, it's southern Egypt. But from NubiaFest last year, I got to connect with Nubian family in Kenya and learn that there are Nubians in Uganda and Ethiopia and Eritrea. And most recently, I've learned that there are also Nubians in Rwanda. I am a Nubian, a diasporic Nubian, because the first time I go to my village in Nubia was in 2020. So my connection to Nubia was only what I heard. And as a matter of principle, just being me, I believe half of what I see and nothing of what I hear. And so what prompted me to start asking questions about Nubia was not what I heard from Professor Herman Bell. It was what I saw. It was that heartbreak and the rage in his eyes that a Nubian did not know her language. And I see half of what I see because I don't know what triggered it. I don't know why he had this look on his face. So I started asking questions. As far as what is Nubia in terms of history, in terms of present, in terms of future, I invite you, and I will put the calendar in the comments, I invite you to tune in to some of the sessions that we have this NubiaFest and ask more questions. I will be holding a series of interviews with people who are lovers of Nubia, Nubian by love and Nubian by lineage. And I will be asking them the same question. Because you know what? What Nubia is to one person is very different than what Nubia might be for another. And that is part of the majesty that is Nubia. How she presents to you is how you approach her, is how you engage her. To me, Nubia is a very shiny and clean and clear mirror to ourselves. If we are approaching Nubia and feeling at home, then we are approaching her as home. And she will greet us and meet us at home, and we will feel home. If we are approaching her to tell her she doesn't exist, then she will reflect the ugly. She will show us where we don't know, how we don't know. And this is why the theme of NubiaFest this year is Know Nubia. Get to know Nubia. Find out who Nubia is, what Nubia is to you, but also how Nubia connects you as a Puerto Rican, Maggie, to the rest of the world. How she connects you to the continent. I hope that answers your question. And if this is the first time you are hearing about Nubia, please, please, please get a paper, a notebook that you might have. I invite you to start your journey with Nubia. I invite you to ask more questions. I invite you to learn about this magnificent African civilization that has left so much and offered so much to this world and most of the world. And indeed, a lot of Nubians don't know because we have been robbed of the right to know. We have been robbed of our access to that history, to who Nubia is. And let's have fun with it. So I am putting away my file, which I started so professionally, and that I am going to approach Nubia. I know how I'm going to approach Nubia. Nubia had a massive laugh. Because Nubia guides you to how you know Nubia. This is why it's important that we document this journey. Because in guiding, in seeing how our journey evolves and how we evolve with that journey, we get a sense of what message Nubia holds for us, what lesson Nubia holds for us, how Nubia wants us to connect. For me, Nubia is a calling. As I said, is home, is truth, is love, is life, is so many things that this folder wasn't going to do it. You know, my approach to, I'm going to go find all the archaeological sites that are in Nubia. I'm going to go find all the archaeologists and the anthropologists, and I'm going to find the elders who are telling stories, and I want to record, and I want to document, and I want to take pictures, and I want, and I want, and I want, and I want, and Nubia says, this isn't about you, she said to me. My journey with Nubia continues to show me that it's not about me, and that nothing in this world is actually about me, because nothing and no one, no being in this world, on this earth, lives in isolation or disconnection from everything else. Nubia reminded me, showed me, took me by my hand to show me all the things, all the people, all the beings that I am connected to, connected with. And I said this on an earlier session, I think it was the opening session, everything is just blending in together, is that she invites you to have conversations with everything she holds, everyone who has come across her and fallen in love with Nubia. This rock was from my first trip to my village. I find it very magnificent because it feels like it's part of something bigger. And this is exactly what Nubia allowed me to feel and step into and realize and recognize. All the different, I don't know if you can see it with the zoom, all these different parts that are stuck together. And from the inside, it's something, and under the light, it's all the different colors. And on this side, it's almost like skin. But it's part of something bigger. So here's my box, because I won't start the actual journal today, because I realized I don't know who will be showing up here. So if you have a box, if you have a book, if you have some papers, if you have an envelope, whatever it is you have, let's make a box about our journey with Nubia. I'm putting this rock from Kabaja in my village. I'm also putting this one. I have seen so many amazing rocks just in the village, and as I go and pick them, or I feel like they're calling me to hold them, all the aunties in the village come through and be like, oh, why are you collecting rocks? Oh, let me show you the rocks I have. Let me show you the stones I have. And they are all amazing and all completely unique. Again, reminding me of all of us, humans who are here in this world. I'm going to put in my tickets. And I wonder, I have no idea what I'll be doing with this box. I don't know if my children will see it. I don't know if my great-great-great-grandchildren will see it. All I know is in 2019, I had started that year with the decision that it would be my last full-time year in the US. And thanks, many thanks, all the thanks to the guidance of God and to the martyrs of the Sudan Revolution, that I decided I will be going back to my village. So I left Washington, D.C., and I made my first trip to the village. And my intention was to convert my family home into a community culture heritage center, which I would build with the children of my village, Kabajan Betani. And there was such excitement. And this is a perfect question and a perfect timing. Abdullah and Noor, do you speak traditional Nubian language? I wish. I am learning. It is slow, but I am learning. I have every intention to be fluent in it, and not just to speak it, but to write it. And that's the part that really caught my attention. Is I'm in the village and I'm telling telling my community, telling my family that I want one part of this community culture heritage center to be a language class, because we're not allowed to learn our languages in schools. They are in fact banned. And when I told them we can write Nubian, people's minds were blown. The kids had no idea that there is a written language, that there are Nubian letters. And this is why we say our languages are endangered. As far as I know personally, the last generation to speak this language is my father's generation. Sure, there are some younger Nubians who can speak it, who can maybe even write it, but they are a minority within the larger Nubian thing. And we've had a session about that earlier on Sunday with the great Nubian poet and really hero in the revitalization efforts of the endangered Nubian languages. He would walk village to village to make sure Nubians know how to write, how to speak their language. That session was in Arabic, but I hope we will be finding a translator who allows to put the subtitles, because he was dropping some serious gems. And again, I say, wherever I am, something will pop up that is worthy of being in this box as part of my journey with Nubia. This was my 3rd day in my village, and it is the list of my extended family and how we all connect. My father used to say the village is ours, that our village is our family. And I thought he was exaggerating until I went to the village, until I went to Kabaja. And he wasn't kidding. The entire village is our family. Not just the entire village and the village next to it, and then the island opposite is our family. And it is so overwhelming to feel all that love. It is so overwhelming to feel such presence. And so while I was in Nubia, anything outside of Nubia didn't matter. Anything outside of Nubia simply faded to the background. And I was allowed to be welcomed with open arms. With the Nile, where I woke up every morning to watch the sunrise by the Nile and sit with the birds and see the fish jump to greet the sun every morning. And to walk back up after the sunrise and see my uncle, Amegasin, working his land. And other cousins, kind of surprised them. You're like, what are you doing? Why are you going to this Nile every morning? Why, oh, look at this foreigner, she's doing this, she's doing that. And sometimes we need a reminder of the things we're taking for granted. And so I'd pull out my phone and I'd show them the photos. I'd show them the videos of the sunrise, or of the birds, or of a plant of karkadeh, or whatever it is. And they'd stop in awe, like, wow, this is amazing. Yes, it's amazing. And you're not waking up to go and see it. And you're judging me for doing it, or you're questioning me for doing it, and you're asking me why I'm doing it. This is why I'm doing it. This is majesty. This is This is love. This is God loving us every morning. How can I not wake up and be present for it and receive it fully and take it and go and pour it back into my village and pour it into my cousins and pour it into their children and pour it into my elders and receive their wisdom. And I also then took it upon myself to journal. So every Sunday I would sit and I would reflect on the week, on the things I learned, on the words I learned. And speaking of words, when you tell Nubia you're ready to know her and learn her language, Nubia will show up for you. This is from a school notebook, but these are words in Nubian and their meanings in Arabic. Now, they're not written in the Nubian font, but at least I will know how to speak it until I'm able to write it. And as far as writing it, I thank and presence all those who have worked in having this font and having this language to continue being written. And I thank and I give a massive shout out to Arbab for his typeface Sawarda. And I have put the calendar down in the comments, but I want to, on the 15th, so tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST, which is 8 p.m. Nubia time, they will be speaking about this Nubian typeface. Arbab and I believe fellow co-creators. So tune in, mark your calendars, go and look at the process of creating this typeface, of the inspiration behind it. Because again, when you show Nubia you're ready, Nubia will show up to you. She will show up. She'll show up and she'll connect you. And this is why we say Nubia connects. And the journeys that come from there are unbelievable. Thank you, Clarence. I appreciate you. Ashe, namaste. Do you remember the first time you heard of Nubia? Please put that in the comments. If you had a question for Nubia, what would it be? If Nubia asked you a question, what do you think it would be? If Nubia were a human who showed up in front of you, what would you tell her? This has been my approach, because I realized I was approaching Nubia as history, as something that's no longer with us, as something that has been buried and lost under sand, under water, under dams. And that cannot be further from the truth. Yes, a massive part of our history is underwater. Yes, so much more of who we are is still buried under sand. It's coming up. But until it does, and until Nubia fully shows herself to us, we have Nubians present today. We have Nubians who carry Nubia and embody Nubia and her majesty and her creativity and her love and her light and her brilliance everywhere around us. In architecture, in music, in art, in photos. Shout out to Noor Al-Rifai. I have not yet met you, but this little booklet here, in photos, in food, in cooking. We did not update it on the calendar. We were supposed to tomorrow be hosting a live cooking session for a Nubian cuisine by this amazing young Nubian chef who's based in Cairo. who mixes our traditional indigenous cuisine and flavors into contemporary dishes and presentations and palettes. And it's stunning. And I'm so excited to be sharing that. I'm so excited to learn a few recipes. I posted a video of that on Instagram. It's ridiculous. I was trying to do the gurrasa, which is, I guess, our go-to bread that we make. And I burned my fingers. It was a bit messy, but it was a process. It was a process that I welcomed and I enjoyed and I loved and I want to do more of. And I will get to see a bit of that tomorrow with, not tomorrow, we will be scheduling it later in the week, but tomorrow I will be having an interview with him, Chef Mohammed Kamal. Follow him on Instagram at Nubian Chef. I will put it here. And again, check the calendar to find the update for when we will be holding this session. Oh, we have comments. Let me see. Who do we have here? Nubia will rise in a new renaissance. Yes. Yes, she will. Ashriya means beautiful. Shidona. See, I can't. Aikumashkar. You know what? I'm no longer going to be shy or embarrassed when I mispronounce Nubian because I'm still learning, and I will take the advice of the great teacher and poet, Nubian poet, Muhammad Omar, who said, practice your language, make mistakes, but keep practicing your language. So I will keep practicing my language. And Brother Abdullah Noor, I thank you for teaching me a few more words, which I will write down. You know what? I will write it down now. Let's post this. I did say this is going to be an interactive session. There's going to be a session where we work together. We share our stories of Nubia together, and I will write this down now. Okay, let's see. I know Ashriya is beautiful. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but, and Sheditona, I Mashker means miss you so much. Yes, it is. The Nubian language is so beautiful, and it's filled with wisdom. It's filled with lessons, and it's filled with connections, connecting us to the world. Brother Abdullah, I'm going to also write your name as someone I have met and has helped bring me a little bit closer to Nubia. And today is the 14th of September, and it's 1:44 Eastern Time. That's another thing. When you're making this box of Nubia, track your journey. Put those dates down. See how far you've gone, how far you've come along. Thank you. Oros, I think. Oros? I think it's Oros. Oros means thank you. I learned that from Rami Dawood, who will be having a session tomorrow. And his Nubian book for children, along with 4 others, are coming out through a Kickstarter, Girefai Omir. And I'm so excited for it. His book is Nabra's Nubian Numbers, and it teaches children to count in Nubian. And he taught me how to say thank you in Nubian. So I'm very grateful to that. What else? What else do I have here from my journeys to Nubia? I do have a book that I have here for my big ideas, and they're all my big ideas for Nubia with Nubians, whether it's planning a festival or a concert or a conference, or just ways I want to summon the spirit of Nubia in our presence. And I invite you to do the same, because again, there's a bit of Nubia everywhere. There's a bit of Nubia in each and every one of us, because we are all connected. We are. Just look around you. Go outside, look around you, see how trees and their branches are leaning on each other. See how the grass blades are, being blown by the wind, but they're all connected to that same root, to that same ground. This is one of the many, many, many lessons that Nubia has reminded me of affirming, and I'm so very grateful. What else? What questions to ask? Let me see, I have a question here. Why did we as a nation, full of pride and cultural heritage, not see ourselves as the cradle of all that is great? Brother man, as people of African ancestry, as people of indigenous heritage, we have been traumatized into survival mode. And when we are traumatized into survival mode, we leave the collective. We let go of the rope that ties us and weaves us together as a community and as a family, and we focus on our own survival. And in doing that, we stop asking about each other. And when we stop asking about each other, we stop talking to each other. And when we stop talking to each other, we don't have others to remind us of what we forget. And everything around us, designed by the system that is designed to oppress and erase us, wins. It takes over. So you don't have a reminder to tell you, as a person of African ancestry, that no, our history did not start with slavery. We don't get these reminders because we don't take time to connect with one another. This is one of my biggest blessings, my greatest blessings in my personal journey with Nubia, is that she connected me. She connected me with DRC. She connected me with Nigeria. She connected me to Mali. She connected me to Niger. She connected me to Ethiopia. She connected me to Eritrea. She connected me to Uganda, to Kenya, to Nubians in London and in Paris and across the US. When we are traumatized as a people, we seem to think that the only thing we can do is just be nonchalant and just focus on surviving. We forget that our strongest power, our greatest asset, is the love that God has put in us for one another. I don't know if that answered your questions. I kind of went on a rant there, but again, you plan something and then Nubia will guide you and show you that maybe steer away. And obviously it is all with the guidance and permission of God, of the creator of all universes, the creator of time and space, the one who connected us, who sent us here for a reason, for a purpose. And for me, that purpose is finding the truth. For me, that purpose is calling us to unite, calling us to ask more questions until the only answer and the only truth we know is that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience here on this earth. It's a process, it takes time, but you see the progress go. It's not the kind of process that you see in the Sudanese government transition right now. Mm-hmm. I had to. It's not the process that will tell you in 3 years this transition will take place, and then in 3 years you're exactly where you are, if not in worse situation. With Nubia, your journey, this process, it yields progress. You feel your growth every minute. You feel your growth with every breath you are taking, because as long as you are open to receive Nubia and all Nubia has to offer, she will pour into you. And so, Clarence, I don't know about your journey with Nubia. I don't know what you know about Nubia. But if you're just starting your journey, please, even if you're not doing it like I'm doing it in a box and with colors, and I mean, I really have colors here. I was really hoping to have more kids and people who want to interact with their inner child, because that's also a bit of what Nubia did with me and taught me. You can do it on your phone. It can be a digital journal. You can blog, you can just take pictures, you can, whatever it is, just record, just keep track of your journey. Thank you. Thank you, Clarence. We do what we can, but the truth is, those trying to hide the truth won't really succeed in the long run, because there's nowhere you can go with a lie. I will take a moment where I will play some Nubian music, and I will go get some juice because of all this talking. And after which I might share the link in the comments and invite people to join and have the conversation and tell me a little bit about their journeys with Nubia and what that means to them. So bear with me, we're going to take a 2-minute break while I go pour myself some orange juice because it's really, really hot here. And I shall be back. دايرة الفرحة في عيوني والأمل يغمر سنينك والأمل يغمر سنينك ويبقى لك يا قمر ليل انت نور الدرب الطويل دايرة أكون بجنب سماكي دايرة في روض الشزاكي دايرة أكون أحلام سباكي دايرة أكون أحلام سباكي دايرة أكون نجم السماكي دايرة في روض الشزاكي دايرة أكون أحلام سباكي ودايرة أكون أحلام سباكي ويبقى بعد المستحيل انت نور دربي الطويل القمر غار من طلوعي ناقي نهري يضرب والزمن يحمل وقوعي والزمن يحمل وقوعي القمر غار من طلوعي ناقي نهري يضرب والزمن يحمل وقوعي والزمن يحمل وقوعي وبسمتك جل الجليل انت نور دربي الطويل دايرة نور لك دربي ودايرة كن دايما حبيبي دايرة نور لك دربي ودايرة كن دايما حبيبي انت نور دربي الطويل انت يا نبع المحنة وانت دنيا نبع ملنا انت يا نبع المحنة وانت دنيا And we're back. Thank you for your patience. I've put the email there, and I will post the link if you would like to hop on, ask some questions, have a chat about Nubia. We will be here for, well, depending on the conversation. If no one has any questions, then we will be wrapping up this session. I think if someone would like to share a little bit of their journey, just let me know and I will drop the link in the comments. I won't put it. I won't put it in there unless there's someone who's interested in joining the conversation. أخ عبد العزيز إسماعيل، كنت موجود في أول البرنامج. إذا لسه معانا الدعوة هسه مفتوحة. إذا حابب تشارك رحلتك مع النوبة عرفوني بس في الكومنتس، وبخلط اللينك للدخول للمشاركة والمداخلة. شكرا. And again, look, it's like I have all these files and I have all these bits and pieces. My potential collaboration, my, all the business cards of people who love Nubia or work on cultural heritage preservation or want to go to Nubia. And it's just overwhelming sometimes, but if we're not keeping track of them, personally at least I feel like, if I'm not keeping track of them, I am giving away all these opportunities that can connect me and get me closer to knowing and understanding my history, my culture, and my heritage. I guess the whole point from this session is that when you start your journey with Nubia, please don't just let it be about the past. Don't let it be about ancient Nubia alone, or medieval Nubia, Nubia 10 years ago, Nubia today, Nubia yesterday, Nubia today, and Nubia tomorrow, and Nubia 10 years from now. In fact, let me see if I can find this. Because yes, okay, good, I'm glad. I drew this before. It was just part of my doodling and trying to clear my mind from things. And the prompt was to draw a place where I feel completely peaceful, where I feel completely home. And mind you, at the time, I'd never been to Nubia, I'd never been to my village, I'd never seen any pictures, so I don't know. But let me see if I can share. Yes. And I do this. I drew this to what I had hoped, I guess, what in my mind would Nubia would look like or my village would look like when I go. Again, I had no idea. And the first morning I go to the Nile, my house is 7 minutes walk from the Nile. I go to the Nile and there is a boat that looks just like this, except it was blue from the inside. That was parked by the Nile, by the shore. And my house was, in fact, on top of a hill and did have these 3 gaps here. And this is in no way a representation of Kabaja, obviously, but just drawing it and having it there. And then when I did go to my village, I had it as the desktop of my laptop. And I had some music playing while we were working with the kids and organizing the bricks to start, setting up and building the classroom to learn Nubian. And one of the girls, Asala Abdul, she looked at that desktop and she's like, "Hey, that's Kabaja." And I was looking at at the setup and I was like, "Huh, look at that." And yeah, that's just another anecdote of my journey of the importance of being present, the importance of not just focusing on the past. Because right now there are kids, there are young Nubian children who are planning their future. Whether their future is leaving this village and going abroad or staying and building and growing that heritage, is how much we pour into that. Are we just within our history? Are we restricting ourselves to that history alone? Or are we connecting it to the present? Are we connecting it to what we want to see in the future? Because this is another thing, building up on what Clarence was asking, is that the ultimate attack on our culture is designed to break the continuity, is specifically to say, no, that's just something in the past, it's there, it's done, it's gone. It's no longer here. And again, that cannot be further from the truth. We are here. We've been here. We still have kids who speak and emanate all the brilliance, all the greatness that is Nubian. And I leave you with some questions. Ask whether you are Nubian or not, whether you know Nubians or not. Whether you're a curious tourist, a history lover. I'm just going to leave you with some questions. What is Nubia to you? Even if you don't know Nubia, if you close your eyes and think Nubia, what comes to mind? What would Nubia tell you? What is your first memory with Nubia? Who introduced you to Nubia? What are you doing for Nubia? If you have elders, if you know Nubian elders, ask them what their favorite memory of Nubia is, what their favorite childhood memory of Nubia is. I asked that question to the elders and to my cousins when I went to the village. And my gift from that wasn't the actual answers, although the answers were pure gems being dropped. The biggest gift was seeing their faces light up as they retrieve these memories, as they bring these memories back to life, and bring that joy that they felt as children, climbing up the palm trees to get the dates, or climbing up the palm trees to put the, wow, I can only think of the Arabic name, hatim, for the palm trees. And I wish Minna was here because she could let me know like bring that word back up. But ask about people's memories. Ask about their joys, their moments of joy in Nubia, with Nubia. Ask, and please keep asking more questions and keep recording what you find. Keep tracking what you find. You have no idea what your journey, how your journey might inspire someone else. Years and years down the line, someone you know or someone you may never know might come across this, and it might guide their journey to Nubia. And however their journey starts, however your journey with Nubia starts, I can promise you one thing. It will change your life. Because that's what Nubia does. Thank you.